This is the Build Out West podcast with your host Tony Hyde from Evolution House and Land Specialists and Catherine Smith from Build Bright Builder Brokers.
If you guys are looking to build in WA or simply curious to see what's going on in building, you guys are in the right place. We're here to give insight with professionals in the game, coming to give the inside scoop. Episodes are uploaded weekly, so don't worry, we don't skip a beat and you won't either. Like, share, subscribe, sit back, relax, and let's go.
Hello and welcome to the Build Out West podcast with your host Tony Hyde from Evolution House and Land Specialists.
And Catherine Smith from Build Bright. How you going?
Hi guys, how are you?
Good. And today's episode we have Lee from Parcel Property with us. I've had the pleasure of having
Lee.
Yeah, amazing. Probably the best land agent in the business.
Oh, stop it.
Definitely.
Probably, honestly, the most
Easy to work with.
easy to work with.
Definitely.
And like really just listens to actually what
I love
you're
when
looking
it's-
for and like what actually sorts it.
I love it. It's
We're
like,
not
hey
pumping
darling,
you
how
up.
are you, sweetheart? I love that. It makes me feel so warm and gooey inside.
Oh, you're all my friends. So
It's
that's
fantastic.
the thing.
How are you?
Yeah, really good. Really busy, as you know. We're working non-stop at the moment.
Yeah, good. So
Can't get enough land. Lots of buyers, not enough land.
well, this
Lot
is
of
it.
chaos.
Yes.
And that's what we're going to explore today. You know, I think the one of the big things for our podcast at present now is to talk about why we want to build in WA, like why Perth is the place to be, because, you know, we'll go through all that stuff, and we've certainly released quite a few podcasts. And if you haven't watched them, stop right now, go back and watch the ones before this, and then it'll all make sense of how it rocks in and why we're promoting Perth as a place to invest in, especially building, because we know the established market's starting to really, the stock is really nothing, right? So Lee, do you want to give us a little bit about how you came to this journey to be the best land agent in?
I know. I love
We're just pumping you up.
Yeah, she's the best.
I love
She's the
that
best.
you give me that label. But yeah, look, I started in new homes like you guys, 16, 17, 18 years ago, crazy times ago. And yeah, just found out that I really liked land and really liked working with builders. Really, you know, I love the interaction with the builders and knowing what's going on. Builders have done an amazing job of the house and land package, so it's really makes my job easy. If I can make your job easy. So.
Yeah, and we've certainly done a number of deals. I know you have as well, Kath, with Lee. It's the easiness of working with you and noting, because you've got that new home build mentality on the other side, it makes it really easy. You can see gaps that sometimes people miss and help out, especially with new clients that don't have a broker to help them along the road. You know, you can see that the demand is there. We don't like using the C word, and it's not the CUNT word, it's the COVID word. We don't want to talk about it anymore. Catherine made that clear on episode 1.
To be fair.
Yeah, well, you're the one that's swearing the most. I haven't swore yet, and it's Catherine's got caught swearing.
No.
Yes, you did.
Maybe
a couple of times.
It's really interesting with you mentioning COVID. I was having a little think this morning, and I thought, you know, the two big things that have happened in my journey as in new homes and land, probably the GFC back in 2008, which changed the house and land package, and it changed the whole industry. The developers the investors were in the market 2006, 2007. And then GFC hit and boom, they were gone. And they've been gone until COVID hit. Then we have COVID. So things that affect the world have brought the investors back into the market.
And I think, you know...
It's them finding the opportunity when there's a lot of chaos around.
Yes,
right?
it's a really crazy thing. Prices are inflated. Well, I shouldn't even say that, but prices are inflated. Times are longer.
Interest rates
are higher, and yet we can't get enough land for the investors. So
yeah, I think they're just seeing such a huge opportunity in Perth in general compared to say like the East Coast. Do you know what I mean? So they're just like, well, where am I going to get, you know, the return or even the entry point, because, you know, the pricing over on the East Coast is like $900 grand for just a very basic first home buyers. Where here we're sort of
equity.
500-600.
The thing is that they've got such good equity, and
I know
a lot of our land is cash. You know, they don't.
Yes.
Such an easy gig for us at the
Yep.
moment.
We do love cash buyers. They're my favourite.
If you have some money, please give us a call.
Going
We've
from
got equity. That's the whole thing. I mean, people in Perth can do this. There's a lot of people with equity.
A lot of people don't understand how the equity works and like how you know how to borrow against your equity, and it's you know, you get the right broker, the right bank. I'd go for a broker, someone that's experienced in it, and he'll step you through it. And it's not as hard as you may think. You can start getting yourself a bit of a portfolio going. And if you listen to our podcast, you'll see that we're telling you the best areas to build in. We're telling you, you know, because we're seeing, you know, we not so much slow, but we knew that there was going to, like, the first home buyer market was going to slow because of the interest rates. We saw that coming, and and I suppose the mentality in Perth would be, I'm not spending $600,000 on a house. Whereas over East mentality is like, well, that's fine. I can get that
cheap.
and be 40 minutes from the city, 20 minutes on the beach, and I've got this massive big 4x2. So there's a bit of a mentality shift, and I think that's one of the things that I think I really love about Perth is. They've got that kind of background, kind of, you know, they're comfortable with it being cheap, and that is, but it's starting to change now. And like, I think the investors, I've definitely saw that. Certainly, most of our business now is investors coming over, and it's it's a lot easier to deal with. It's great. It's good money. It's great to work with and stuff. It's great to help that. You know, I still love helping the first home buyers. That journey, taking one out. There's something bit fun about it, making it, you know, when the first appointment and getting it. And as much as I love investors, it's a very business transaction, right? Trying to, you know, this is the price, the ROI needs to be this, Tony, I want to be this area, it's done, right? And it's pretty easy.
I think a lot of it, though, is the media right now, particularly in WA, is very negative towards like either construction companies or just interest rates and the sort of this fear mongering. So it's like the people who are sort of under 25 or around that point, they're like, well, let's wait a year, let's see what happens. But you know what happens in a year? You know, it is obviously...
And I kind of understand that, because there have been companies that have bitten the dust, and that's just bad management. You know, everybody can take on too much work and get, you know, infatuated by the amount of deals that are coming in, and it just doesn't work. Another one on the news last night, and it's like, I've never even heard of them. But
we had a crazy situation with New Sensations last year.
Well, yes.
That was probably one of the most
high profile from a company that's been around,
that fell over,
because they weren't just new, they'd been around for a while. That was you know, I think his dad owned another, and he branched out, but there was experience in how to do it, which is again too much, right? Took too much on.
I just think they take too much on.
They didn't take,
that was a real case of poor management. So what happened was, I think there was about 52 builds under construction when that collapsed, and I think it was 20-something reached out to me and Tony. So when that happened, I remember I was at Rottnest.
I was so busy.
Tony was somewhere, and I was just trying, and everyone was just tagging us online, like, these people will help you. They'll help you build your home. And we're like, you know, we don't deal with homes that are currently under construction,
That's the
right?
trouble. Builders
and then
don't
we were
take
trying
on already started stuff.
We were trying to help these people because, you know, and then we'll meet with them, and people were in tears, and like it took us months to sort that out and help all those people. But we
learned a lot about homes under construction, at what level and how much money comes out. And there's a lot of them we couldn't physically help, but we were able to find a builder that was, I think, JWH Group took a lot on and really, and we worked closely with them, with Jay there, and just went, hey, these are the ones that we can't. He goes, this is how we're going to do it. And he broke it down for us. We sat in a meeting, and he was really grateful. And we basically just passed the clients on and went, look, we can't help. And then, but we managed to help a couple. There's a few that were like, I had one client who was sitting at has finance all approved, was waiting 11 months to get a building permit. 11 months, and then we just took it and went, no, we're going to do it. So. But then the price increases are like, the house that we're getting for that price, I had 60 grand onto it, and they were just like, Jesus, I was like, this is where we're at, man, right? So
the pricing was off in the first place.
Well,
but they've just got the roof cover on now.
The one that's bitten the dust as well in a similar situation. The BGC people, you know, that's the other one. You sort of feel like they were pricing the homes at a certain price point, and then they couldn't build them, and then those poor people going to try and find a new builder, and it's.
I think
there's another one. I think Modco are about to go as well. No, they have gone. I think they're really close.
Who was the one on the
Modco
news last night? No, it was. I was going to remember it too. It's not someone that I had.
Well, I know Modco are about to go. I think they're struggling. I know their owners are under a lot of scrutiny because they post a lot about Gucci bags and all this kind of stuff, and then they're like, so I think I'll stay away from that one.
Yeah, just
I'll avoid them like the plague. Avoid that one.
Let that one play out first.
But so look, okay, so like, you know, what? So we'll talk about the COVID, the government grants, first home buyers snapped it all up. Then we saw it not so much slow, but we've seen it pivot. So you're seeing investors.
The investors came into the market hugely, probably January of last year, so January of 2022. And just got bigger and bigger and bigger, and you can only work with so many. You know, there are so many investor channels and so many of you all working with investors. And as a developer, you can't put a full estate full of investors. There's got to be some retail as well. So yeah, it's a really tough time. We just can't build enough land to keep everyone happy at the moment.
Yeah.
So it's another strange time in the industry.
I mean, that's what the reason why we want this podcast and have yourself on, Lee, is we could just go, all the investors come over here and we'll build it, whatever, but it's not quite as easy as that. We are doing work behind the scenes to go, we can put X amount in Parcel Properties land, but we can't put them all in there because they won't accept it, because we need to still allow people to live here, right?
Yeah.
There are people coming over here that want to build and invest, and that's fine, and we'll help them, but there is that, don't be so scared that the land's
do you take
going.
into account people that are looking to rent the property out or then flip it and sell it?
What I'd really like to see is some spec homes, because I feel like we are so short on housing that we need some spec homes. We need people to be coming in, building those homes and selling them. Yeah. Because there's a lot of people also that are just arriving and don't have the capacity to rent and build. And that timeline. So if we've got some investors who are doing that spec home and flipping it and doing the next one, I feel like we need a lot more of that.
Yeah, and then that way you're increasing more the owner-occupier space in the estate as well.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, I feel like you're serving a purpose too. People want to buy, but there just isn't the time. There's not the rentals, and there's not the time for them to build. So... It's and
there's nowhere to rent while they wait for it to be built as well, right? It's like it's a
catch-22.
And I think the reason the investors aren't doing that side of it is because the cost to build and then sell, there's not much. They're not making much money on it, right? They're going to make money. That's the thing. Say they build it for 500, they're not going to sell it.
The rents are just so.
And the rent's too good, right?
I think that's what they've been sold.
I've just finished a build, and I was working with that. I'm working with a real estate agent, Kim Turner, to rent it for one of my guys in Queensland. And it's in Rivervale, and it's $750 a week.
Yeah.
And he's like, we'll get more. He's like, but that's the bare minimum to expect. $750 a week in Rivervale on a 4x2. I'm just like, jeez.
My little Brightwood in Beldivis
great.
is getting $600 a week for a 3x2.
Yeah.
That's
we were just talking about.
I don't think these will drop too much down, by the
way.
People have no idea the rentals at the moment, and that's the thing. It's probably... I'm going to say until, there is more on the established market, it's just like the rents are just skyrocketing, I think now with obviously the borders opening, people now coming getting their student visas, their 457 working visas, and people coming, So, it is...
It's not going to slow down anytime soon.
I find the intensity hasn't changed, but it's more just who is building has changed more so than anything.
The intensity is huge.
Yeah, I know. So a little story was last year, I contacted you and I said, look, I know you're having a land release coming in July. I think this was June. I was 6 weeks ahead. I was like, please, can you just secretly put one on the side for my client? I think there was 53 blocks. And you were like, there's 50 already gone. And I said, what do you mean there's 50 gone?
How does that happen?
We haven't released it yet. I just need one. And you're like, literally, I have 3. And they were all 3 terrible corner blocks with random shapes and all this. And I was like, I can't believe it, because you haven't even released this to the public yet, and I couldn't even get anything available, and this was up in Jindal.
And you had that one in Darch as well, which eventually just disappeared. Was it on for about a second and a half, and it was gone. Yeah. And we're talking $400,000 bits of land gone in Darch. Yeah. Because I went to look one day and I was like, they've gone already. You're like, gone. They went in about 3 seconds.
Completely. Solidly sold out. I do not have a block left in Darch.
That's crazy.
I know. So when we arrived, Lee just said, she did 18 contracts last night.
Yeah, I had to.
18 contracts last night.
Yes, that's crazy.
They just keep coming at you, And if you don't smash them out, you can't do it while you're on the phone. Yeah. My phone rings constantly all day, and then you've got to try and do some contracts in between. So, I was up until midnight last night doing contracts.
I mean, I know working with you, I'll have a text conversation with you and then it'll just go quiet for like a day. Like, sorry, I was like, I just know how busy Lee is. No, it's like, I know exactly where it's at. But that's the thing, what you got to understand as well, especially this first home buyer market, right, is all these, the immigration's open up, everyone's coming to WA, right? They don't know that it used to be $400,000 to build and buy Davis 2 years ago. They'll see 550 and go, well, that's the price I need to pay. And that whole dynamic will change. And that's what I'm saying about the mindset mentality. It's slowly changing here. But you still got the young kids who listen to mum and dad saying, "Oh, you can build in Hammond Park for 500." No, you can't.
No,
You cannot. You can maybe buy a bit of land and put some bricks down, and that'll be about it. You know, these are the things.
Swag down on your block for 500,000.
So obviously the investor market's where it's at, right?
Yeah, and in every one of my land estates, you know, we talk about Parcel Property for a second. You know, we've got such diverse range of land. So from cheap Jindawi that we were just talking about in Yanship, down to we'll go to the river first. So Everleigh in Bayswater on the river,
which is lovely.
Yeah, 700 plus price point for these riverfront lots. Then you could probably go down to Port Kennedy, which is, you know, that $300,000-$400,000 blocks of land. We talked about Dart, so 300 plus in Dart. Belcatta, you know, you're looking at once again 500,000 for land being 10 minutes from the city. But then you've got your Beldiverses and your Wellards and your Byfords and your Hilberts.
Many estates do you have all up? Do you know off the top of your head roughly?
I think I've got 14 active at the moment.
It's crazy. It's mad.
So sometimes I get a little gaga. Ask a question. It's like I have to mull it over in my brain. Where was that block that I was just talking about?
And this is pretty much kind of our opinion, I suppose, is we're seeing that the established market's slowing down, that there's no stock there, right?
There's no stock,
people aren't willing to sell because they know how much it's going to cost, or whatever it is, or
they have to build somewhere, or they have to buy it, and they can't.
And the money's the same, right?
Yeah.
And we're seeing, you know, Catherine's done some research on one of the other podcasts about, like, houses on the market 3-4 days, you know, 5 days, and they're just flying. You've got real estate agents that are able just to phone people and say, I've got something to suit you, and it's not even getting to the market, so we're not even seeing the actual real stuff on the market as well. But yeah, with that, you know, we're starting to see now that the spread, people are getting forced to go out, and we kind of love the Armadale Gosnells area. We see that, especially, and this is more established blocks, you know, but we're seeing that going out that way, so down to Byford and all that, and we're seeing
that southeast kind of corridor.
These communities are just flying up, and people go, I'm not going to Byford, and then you drive down there and you go, it's a whole community. It's already built. It's already rocking and rolling.
Well, we've got Mundijong coming up, which is sort of sits in that kind of vein. So there's going to be a fair few blocks in there, but you know, we're still 18 months, 2 years away, because there's so much work that goes into prepping it. You know, North Ellenbrook, we've got a massive amount of land in North Ellenbrook, but it's getting us there.
Yeah.
Ellenbrook is always popular, but there's actually not a lot of availabilities at the moment. Yeah.
Anywhere, Kath, anywhere.
It's, and that's it, you know, that's what we're seeing, right? And I suppose that's the question I've got is, are you starting to see people pushing further down to the southeast and northeast and starting getting further away, right?
Absolutely. And the investors wouldn't touch that kind of area before, but they're all there's nothing anywhere else. I need to branch out a little.
Yeah. And the facts are there. There's in the next 8 to 9 years, there's 300,000 people meant to be coming to Perth.
Well, we're 40,000 short of houses. 40,000. We're 40,000. We're
and that's what I'm saying. You know, like if there's ever a time to say you can afford to wait a year to build the house, because these people, you know, how long does it take people to get their visas approved? They're going to take longer and longer because people are thinking, because there's so much coming in.
I mean,
we spoke about
all of that sort of
the nurses and all that they need over Easter. The police have done another big recruitment drive in the UK. So I didn't realise how much.
And trades.
International studies and then the services. And then the mining industry speaks for itself.
Yeah.
You know, WA always gets a bad rap for, like, you know, I think we sit outside what actually happens in Australia because we're so self-sufficient on that way.
Yes, exactly.
I didn't believe it until I actually looked at it and I was like, geez, like this is we could be our own little country and probably be not too bad.
Yeah.
That's a debate in itself.
Yeah, well, like, we're just going to get smashed on comments here.
Yeah, I know, you're going to cough it now.
So, I know we asked the question about what do you reckon the next couple of years looks like, 2 to 3 to 4 years looks like? Do you see it? I suppose
we
state
still
investors
haven't caught our breath from the whole
it really
2020.
is a little bit like that. And I think the investors last time came in for a year and then they disappeared very quickly. I just don't see it happening here at this time.
I know.
I think we're so short on housing that we so need them.
Mm-hmm.
We can't get enough retail because people don't qualify now and they're scared. It's really an interesting concept at the moment because, everything's high priced, and like you say, the media is smashing builders and the industry because of the high price and the delays and things like that. That's all caused because of demand.
Yeah,
demand is there. So
look, the builders aren't completely not to blame in this, but they're putting a lot of them that we work with as well. We're put in a position where they had to do the stuff because to get the stuff right.
Yeah.
And then you talk about these builders, new sensations that didn't shut their doors and didn't BGCs. Some of the big builders did though. The Summits closed their doors. ABN didn't close their doors, but they slowed it right down.
Slowed right down.
And went, no, we're not taking X amount on because we're going to kill the industry. But what the other smaller builders, the boutique ones, were like, yep. We were just being very picky. Summit just went, we're not doing double stories, we're not doing customs as well. So they slowed it down to try and service the clients. And that's, I think it's commendable for a builder of that size to go, let's not get greedy.
Yeah.
And they've also went, hold on, we see the forecast, what's happening over the next 10, 15 years, and they're there, right?
Some of these guys, like Dale Lawcock is one of my managing directors, and he... I think he actually broke the news of the BGC thing quite well. I think he introduced the incentives for the apprentices, and the BGC thing sort of slipped in between him, promoting the apprentices and bringing the kids back into the industry, and to protect the industry. He did it. I thought he did it very, very well.
I think so. I think, the thing with BGC was they were massive, and unfortunately they didn't have Lenny in charge of the reins, and I think that was probably an experience. No offence to his daughter and son, but I think they just didn't been through at that level of what Lenny would have done, because Lenny would have sat down and went, hold on, we would have thought the way, because he was very customer service driven.
Yeah.
Sat down there and you got all your other big players in the game, Joe Pasciano with Mark Damasis, were all like, hold on a minute here, this is not going to be good. And they were the ones that reached out to us and said, hey, this is going to be 18-month build, by the way, just so you know, this is what, from 18 months from the time you sit down the first appointment to getting there.
I think Tony and I were lucky. We kind of were unscathed with it all, considering the chaos that was happening around that time, because we were in that broker model. We really just were very selective who we were using, and sort of using those medium level builders and they were just those solid steadies, and the ones that were strict with like what you're going to take on, what they're going to build, their requirements, and we really just stuck with them. I think I had like maybe 1 or 2 price increases like for 18 months, which is crazy considering what other people were dealing with. And, some of my friends in my industry, I'm like, I feel so bad for you that you're constantly, we're so worn down. Those out. And now I think people are like, a lot of people are like, I need to just take a year off and just like
people
decompress.
Are exhausted, physically exhausted. The industry has been punishing. It really has. And, as much as people sort of say, the industry is amazing, you must be making a lot of money, there's a lot of work that goes into it. And the horrible news is that you have to deliver to people. Price increase. As a builder rep, that was probably my worst nightmare.
And that was the thing that we've done is like this was one of the biggest joys of being a broker for the building companies is you can move the risk, right? You can change the risk if you go, hold on, this builder's starting to slow up or the customer service isn't right. We'll move them to another builder that works. And I think, that was one of the real big pluses of what we done. At the end of when it was when the price increases were really hard and when new land was titled and all that, I was putting buffers into the pre-start allowances for 10, 15 grand, and that saved me with a lot of price increases. We'd put like 10, 12 in and I'd say to the builder, well, if there's an increase, show me where it is. And no, it's 12. No, I want to see. Because we're doing about $3,000 a month. This is only 3 months. That should be 9. Where's the other? And a lot of the time you would call them, you'd get you've got $4,000 now. Again, getting us to go in and fight. As much as we have great relationships with the builders, we will fight for the client with the builder and say, no, hold on a minute. If you don't do the right thing with the client, you don't get any more of my clients. As simple as that.
If you can justify something, you've got to help out. It's really unfair. And especially if your client's done everything possible, that they're ready to go, and it's a land delay or it's a settlement delay or it's a finance delay. If they've done everything right, it's just destroying to actually have to deliver that news.
So, investors, I'll go back to them. I just want to so if an investor's listening right here and they go, I want to, what does he need to do from an investment point of view, finance wise, to what are the kind of couple of options? So say they're sitting with me, what things are you telling the investor? You need these things before we can get
secure block.
Secure block.
The things that the conversations you have to sell are obviously you've got to work out their budget, number one, and see where they fit. Where's the available land?
Yep.
Number one is where it's at the moment. We have constant questions about Jim Dowie and anyway, you can only have so much land in certain areas. Look, it's really hard. Watch out for your easements. Watch out for
bow, things like that.
Bushfire. That's one of the things. High site works. These are the money that investors spend that they don't see anything.
Yeah.
No value.
Yeah.
No value at all. It's like, you want me to spend an extra 20 grand for what? What do I see out of that? So you've got to be careful where you're putting them. And at the moment, Baldivis on our side, we're on the east side at the moment, and it's all poo-poo. We all, site works over that side is just scrubby, and it is what it is.
So when the clients come to me, so generally they'll have an LOE, which is a letter of eligibility, right?
Yeah, that's a hard thing to get out of the eastern states.
Because it's foreign to them.
Non-existent, yeah.
It's foreign to them. I've had to send examples to them.
Get a comfort letter.
A comfort letter.
Say comfort letter. Okay.
I usually just set them up and do a Zoom call with the broker here to get it.
Yes. Yeah. Well, that's good. That's if you can. Yeah.
But they have to show proof of funds, right?
Yeah.
So what kind of options have they got to show proof of funds? Bank statements.
Yeah. So proof of funds. Well, for me, the letter of eligibility, pre-approvals, obviously, equity if they've got equity, bank statements if they've got casheroony. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's basically all they need, and then we do the rest for you, right? So that's, as much as it's a small part, it's a really integral part of the land, because there's so much going on, because you need to make sure the site works are right, the bushfire attack level, is there any noise packages, and that's the stuff, if you're not experienced, you won't notice. If you don't have an experienced land agent, they might miss it, especially how busy they are at the moment, and it's not, I know you don't do it, but it does happen with other people.
Even if you buy an infill block as well from a real estate agent versus a land agent, they sometimes fluff over it because, they don't know about it.
A lot of real estate agents have.
That is always tricky on my end. Yes.
I'm very conscious when I'm buying land off.
Bought it and I haven't even looked at the contract and all the
land,
and then you're like, doomsday.
You go out there and you look at it and you go, you stand there and you're going to, I've done it and I've stood there and I've FaceTimed them and I was like,
bought a block like
so see this block,
They're like, I'm like, it's 40 grand just for a retaining wall, and I have no idea.
What I reckon you put 8 grand in the budget for this. Why? Because it's on a 23-degree slope. We'll have to cut in or dig in or pull out, and they're like, "Oh, really?" I was like, "Yeah, we're going to retain it."
It looks like limestone. Wow.
I'm down in Singleton.
Might be hard digging.
I'm down in Singleton.
Like,
what
do you mean?
It's sort of flat. And you're like, oh, okay.
And then they go, I'm down in Singleton. Yeah, and we can see the water. Cool. Have you thought about, the coastal conditions? What's that? Well, because you're so close, you're another 10 grand. What? And you're like, all this stuff. If you don't know this stuff, you'll never realise, right? And that's where and I said this earlier. But it's really important to pick the right land agents. That's why we do loads of work with you, because we know that you'll also just bump us in and say, Tony, this has got such and such and such and such on it, so we're aware of it. We can deal with it, right? Because it needs to be put in.
Cross-check the land before a client buys it. Yeah. That gives us peace of mind that the numbers are going to.
Do you remember just selling off the plan, going, this is 8 months away, but you're going to get this block here, that's fine, and you're like,
but we're still doing that.
Oh, that's crazy.
The worst
I had last year. The worst land I had last year was a client goes, I've already got my block of land, I just need to find a builder.
I'm so excited.
I'm like, great, show me your block. It had a creek in the middle of the block. A creek. An actual creek.
So we're going to build a bridge in the house.
And I was like, cool. Okay, so, I know you probably paid like $1 for this block, but it's because
what did you think about?
Don't know what you could build. It was also
so pretty.
Fire zone.
Triple Z or something.
It was like I didn't even know what material you could build. It was past 30. No builder would touch it. It was up in the hills. So he basically had to put the block on the market and sell it because it was not buildable, right?
Yep.
It literally had a creek through it. I drove all the way up and had a look, and I said, I don't even know where to position this house, because he bought it obviously for the creek, so it was this beautiful thing. But I was like, yeah, but where's this house going to go around it?
And how big was it? Was there a building envelope or what?
It was a huge block, but the way it was
straight through the middle.
Before the creek you could build, but you couldn't build past the creek. It was fire zone.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Okay, so the whole thing was just a nightmare. Clay, everything, you know,
We're in the hills.
you can imagine, you know. But he thought he got a great deal because the block was cheap, you know. So and the block is cheap because the bill is expensive. You know, so we had to get rid of that block and start from scratch again.
And that's why, you know, do a bit of due diligence on the person you're buying it from, land agent or the real estate. Do they know what they're talking about? Question. If not, come and speak to one of us and we'll help you with that stuff. Again, I've got the same one. It's in Highbury Park and the block has been sold 4 times. Right, it was a 500 square metre block, sold 4 times. And because the way they built the garage, you have to drive up into it. And I was like, well, it doesn't make sense. No. So we went to the council, had a little chat. They allowed us to move back the retaining wall back 1.5 meters, that was it. And we could put the garage in there right on, and then they opened up another 50 square metres. And I went through the history of that land, and it had been sold 4 times in a year, because when people got to it, they're losing 50 square metres to the driveway and losing all. But, you know, do a bit of due diligence, got it fixed, and we just pulled the slab last week.
I was just going to say,
awesome.
that's the
I think you know the one I'm on about.
It's even your builders, choose your builders carefully. You know, some people are just cookie cutters. If you don't have the plan that fits on the block, then they won't do anything about it. Whereas Tony has done.
Well, I had a quick chat with one of the builders I trusted. He was like, cool. Then we spoke to the there was an application fee and stuff, but we actually knew the guy in the council, and he was like, no, you don't have to do it. And he just gave us a letter saying you can do this. Yeah. We put it through, and it was like literally just went like clockwork. And you saw the design that they originally had, and then one we put on, and they'd gained 50 square metres in the back garden because we could move the garage. So it was pretty cool.
I wonder if the R codes had changed from the time that the developer had created the block.
It all gone. So it was just one.
But when the developer created it, maybe the R codes were different.
It was the design guidelines that were using it. Yeah, so it was ages ago. So, but again, no one actually done the work on, can we actually do this? And it was, and we had to move a tree because the tree was right in the way, and it was like,
I think that
it was honestly, it was nothing.
Before, sometimes with builders, depending obviously who you're dealing with, they just don't know how to deal with situations.
They can be new to the industry.
Yeah.
And
I would honestly say like 30% of my clients have already signed with the builder, and for whatever reason they've been burnt or not happy or whatever. I had a block in Hamilton Hill last year, an estate there, and the client wasn't happy with the builder, and I looked at it and I said, they can't build here.
No wonder.
I said, you can't, this is a double brick builder and you can only have timber here. It was a timber frame builder. Estate, yeah. So I said, you know, they took $5,000 from you and you can't actually build with that builder. And he was obviously pissed off, which, you know, to be fair.
He just swore.
And on top of that, he actually, it was...
Where had it gone? It had gone into the office. Into the system, and no one picked it up?
Well, a double brick build in like an environmental estate.
Nobody read the
115 Hamilton, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was 115 Hamilton. And I just, you know, it was shocking. On top of that, you actually had to build a double story on that block. Which they put a single story. And I was like, okay, this is not going to fly. Let's just scrap it, start from...
I want to know who that builder was.
The joke was it sat in the system for like 5-6 months because the builder didn't want to get rid of it for some reason. And
I'll give everyone a bit of advice. If you build in 115 Hamilton, actually read design guidelines and take your time, because nearly every one of their blocks, each one of their blocks is on a builder's envelope, so you can't just build on it as an envelope of it as well, because of the way it's done. It's cool, but it's
like an electronic charger in your garage. You have to do solar. You have to do a lot of environmental factors, but you have to.
Was it Piara or Harrisdale Green?
I think it was Harrisdale.
Harrisdale Green.
Yes, again, similar.
There's a builder, I can't remember the name, has built one of those, he's like, I don't know, the garage is downstairs and the house goes on top of it and the walls, I can't remember what you call them, split level, that's what it is. And he's built it purely with hemp.
Yeah.
And that's, it was pretty expensive. I've got a connect for hemp builders as well, but it was, it was really interesting to see. It was all, and it's the way they position the housing so the air comes through it. Yeah. Like it's 9-star energy rating, and you're like, and there's no aircon.
Yeah.
No aircon.
Yeah, nice.
Like, wow. Anyway, we talk about
we digress. Let's talk about off the grid, building off the grid, and all of the timber that they use. And it's snowing, and there's gales, and people already have a little cry about timber framed homes. My goodness,
it's bananas. You know, they build houses in Canada from timber frame and then just put you know, and they're like, "Oh, we're freezing." No, it doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
Double brick's colder. I've got a double brick house and I'm freezing in it. Like it's. Obviously, I didn't build it. I bought this
they're
one.
really like the WA people, you know, that are very double brick.
Oh my goodness.
You know, where it's like you talk to someone from Sydney or Queensland, they're all very much timber frame, all brick veneer. So they're like, yeah, that's standard steel frame or timber frame. They don't even think you're saying something taboo. Do you know what I mean?
No.
So they're like, oh yeah, cool. You know, because obviously we have a range of different builder material kind of builders, but it's funny because you definitely get those.
You get them.
People
Oh,
like
I
double
don't want
brick
to walk.
only.
I don't want to walk around and it sounds hollow. I mean, do you walk around and chap your
You
run?
start knocking the walls.
Yeah, but
these are not brick walls.
Yeah, but do you do that in your house? Well, no. Well, I don't understand.
Why are we doing that?
Well, if you want to put a plug in like a GPO, you have to chase the wall. You just drop the cables down and put. Anyway, I'm not going into it. I'm not going to get angry about it. So
we need to broaden our views on building.
I suppose if we kind of one of the last questions I've got for you would be, if I was an investor coming into Perth, where would you say this is the area I think you should invest in? What would be your?
I'm probably still going back down to Kennedy Bay. It's a higher point. It's actually resort living. It's
good.
So
I can't wait for the next 9 holes to open up so I can
amazing.
join.
Yeah, I'm getting a bit of clarity on that. It's just such an amazing spot. It's 200 metres from the beach, 200 metres from the golf course.
If all golf is on a great golf course. It's only 9 holes. The other 9's coming.
Yeah,
it's
under
proper links golf course. I'm so excited. Anyway, we've got
so I still think there, if you can afford it, that's where
so good.
That's where there's money to be made.
And what are the pricing there for land?
So 300,000 for 375.
Okay.
So
you're about 600 to 650 to actually build it, and a fully turnkey.
Yeah,
you'd be a little bit cheaper for an investor.
What you're saying is a 650, 200 metres from the beach. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
On what will be one of the top golf courses in WA as well, by the way.
Yeah. You know,
and you've got an amazing jetty that's being built.
The microbrewery's going in there.
There's a boutique hotel. There's shopping. Apartments.
It's so close to my house.
It's going to be amazing. It really, I just feel like if you're looking to invest and really actually make some money.
And it's got there is resort living. It's got that beautiful little cafe down or restaurant called the Birdie.
Yeah, so Birdie's still there.
And then it's Birdie. Birdie.
We've got to put subtitles.
But it's got like the kids' play area and it's got a little putting green on a lake. It's really actually, Kath, you would probably like it. I know you hate coming down south, but you'd probably like it.
I'm a Southie.
Oh yeah, you're not. You're in South Perth. You're not
I
South
usually
Perth.
come for lunches for whatever reason.
You're city. You're city. That's what you're a city girl. But no, I love Kennedy Bay. I'll back you in that way as well. And investing in it, you've got the opportunity to leverage a DHA from the Garden Island and the Navy down there as well, if so be it. They might not touch something, it might be a bit too expensive, but...
No, we've had them.
Is this happening?
Yeah, we've had them in. So, they do. They'll
snap up in it. And I think we spoke on the other podcast, there's 600 American submariners coming over. There's $3 billion spent on submarine. The Navy base is not going to go anywhere, and they need it. So, like that. Kennedy Bay, fantastic.
But once again, you can't build enough land for all of the investors. We physically cannot build enough to house all of the investors. And
I suppose that's to sum it up then, when we finish this one up, is why you want to invest in WA, because we don't have enough land. We don't have enough land. We're struggling to get the land.
The demand.
And it's going flying up. And I mean, people ask me, why are we not doing housing land packages like to promote? The land isn't lasting long enough for us to go, boom, we could put like a commercial on it, but I'd rather go, tell me what you want, I'll go and find it for you.
Yeah.
Because we've got people like Lee, Lee, this is what I need. I've got this and this, and we're great at doing that. And then if we can sell the stock, then life's easy, right? So, I really appreciate you coming in. If you have anything you want to add?
I love it. Love a chat with you guys. Always quite easy. And look, it's all fun and games in this industry at the moment, isn't it?
Well, that's it. We always make sure we've got the best in the business at these tables, and there you go.
Thank you.
All right. Well, look, as always, please like, share, comment, follow, all the good stuff. And if you get any questions, hit me and Catherine up and we'll do our best to answer the questions best we can.
So thank you. For me, shoot it to the guys and we'll get some answers for you.
Beautiful. So big thank you from Lee from Parcel Property.
Thanks for having me.
And we'll speak soon. Bye.
Bye.